Illegal Jewish settlers burn cars and homes of Palestinians. 2 more never-charged Guantanamo prisoners released. No definitive answers for whether the COVID-19 originated in a lab. Children of Turkish tent city reflect their dreams on walls. 59 dead and dozens are missing after an Italy migrant shipwreck. EU Disinfolab exposes an Indian fake news operation. And a special report on cow vigilantism in India. From Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Syed. Our top story tonight: armed Israeli settlers have carried out arson attacks on Palestinian houses in Nablus. The attack came hours after Israeli and Palestinian officials pledged to implement measures to de-escalate tensions in the occupied West Bank. Nearly 400 Palestinians were wounded and at least 1 killed, Palestinian health officials reported. Saamiyah, who was murdered by Israeli settlers, was volunteering in Turkey after the February 6 earthquake and returned to Palestine 2 weeks ago. 2 Israeli settlers were killed by Palestinian gunmen. Israeli settlers set ablaze homes, shops, cars, and agricultural land and roamed the streets of several Palestinian towns. The Palestinian Red Crescent reported at least 35 homes were burned down and 40 others partially damaged. It also said over 100 cars were burnt or destroyed. About 700,000 Israeli settlers live in the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem. Earlier this month, the United Nations Security Council issued a formal statement denouncing Israel's plan to expand settlements on occupied Palestinian territory. The United States transferred 2 brothers detained at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba to Pakistan, the Department of Defense said Thursday. The move is part of the Biden administration's ongoing efforts to close the controversial prison. Abdul Rabbani and Mohammed Rabbani were detained for allegedly operating safe houses used by Al-Qaeda members. That includes Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the accused mastermind of the September 11, 2001 attacks. The brothers were never charged with a crime. They were repatriated after it was determined their detention was no longer needed to protect against a continuing significant threat to the United States, the DoD says. There are currently 32 detainees remaining at Guantanamo Bay, of whom 18 are eligible for transfer. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan on Sunday said there is no definitive answer to whether the virus that caused COVID-19 spread from a laboratory. Sullivan spoke on CNN responding to a Wall Street Journal story saying the U.S. Energy Department concluded the pandemic most likely arose from a laboratory leak. Sullivan said there is a variety of views in the intelligence community. He added that President Joe Biden has directed intelligence agencies to use all available resources to get to the bottom of this question. Sullivan said Biden specifically requested the national labs that are part of the Department of Energy be part of the assessment. He added the information will be shared with the U.S. Congress and the American people when there is a definitive answer. Connecticut-based academic and theologian Jimmy Jones gave an extended interview to American Muslim Today's podcast series, Muslim Viewpoint. The 76-year-old, who was born in Maryland and converted to Islam, has spent his entire career speaking about and advocating on behalf of African Americans. He spoke about his journey as a Black American and how far American society has come with respect to civil rights. Growing up, Jones went to segregated schools. He said he is socially and economically different from his parents because of his education. Jones holds a master's degree from the Yale University Divinity School and a doctorate of ministry degree from Hartford Seminary. He said Islam empowered him as a human being and as a Black person. He said the faith gave him the analytical tools to understand what my true nature was. He said he was caught between 2 negative paradigms, being labeled lesser than or better than everybody else because of his race. Jones said he is not fond of the term Black Muslim as it centers Blackness as if it were essential to who they are. I prefer to call myself a Muslim American of African descent, centering the Muslim part, he says. Tesla and Twitter chief Elon Musk blasted media outlets for dropping Scott Adams' comic strip Dilbert after the cartoonist's racist rant against African Americans. Musk said the media is racist against whites. Hundreds of newspapers nationwide dropped the comic strip Dilbert after its creator, Adams, made remarks that were racist and discriminatory. Adams referred to Black Americans as a hate group. He said white people should get the hell away from Black people. Musk defended Adams in a series of tweets Sunday, blasting media organizations for dropping his comic strip. Questions continue to be raised over Fox News executives allowing on-air personalities to spout conspiracy rumors about the 2020 presidential election results. This was while they privately texted and emailed each other, acknowledging they were helping spread lies. The private texts and emails recently became public in a legal briefing. The conservative network is facing a $1.6 billion defamation lawsuit filed by Dominion Voting Systems. Conservative columnist David French suggested Fox employees threw away what little credibility they had for more than just higher ratings and power. In his Washington Post column on Sunday, French wrote the pathology of amplifying lies indicates a deeper problem for the network. He wrote that Fox News isn't just the news hub of right-wing America, it's a cultural cornerstone. French also said it is where Red America goes to feel seen and heard. If it's an important good news story in Red America, the first to call is Fox. If conservative Christians face a threat to their civil liberties, the first call is to Fox. If you're a conservative celebrity and you need to sell a book, the first call is to Fox, he suggested before adding, and Fox takes those calls. Explaining that representation can have its place in the media marketplace, he suggested Fox News and its highly influential evening hosts have gone off the rails. The Council on American Islamic Relations Philadelphia chapter is calling for an investigation into an attack on a mosque in the city's East Mount Airy neighborhood. On Sunday, CAIR asked local law enforcement to investigate a possible motive for the xenophobic vandalism of Masjidullah Center for Human Excellence. According to a statement by the group, security cameras at the mosque caught images of a man spray painting symbols and phrases on the walls and doors on February 24th. These included Jesus Christ. CAIR Philadelphia president and member of the mosque, Mohammed Zubair, said, "We condemn this act of vandalism and urge local, state, and federal law enforcement authorities to apprehend the perpetrator and to determine whether there was a biased motive for the incident." Zubair said in a statement, "All Americans should feel safe from harassment or intimidation at their houses of worship." A story on children in a Turkish tent city projecting their dreams onto a wall comes with details after the break, so stay tuned and we will be right back. Welcome back. Children in the tent city of Turkey's Quake-hit Gaziantep province are painting their hopes for a bright future on the walls. The activity was organized under the youth ministry and held in the Islahiye district to protect children from the trauma of the earthquake. Graffiti artist Senol Karakaya teaches children how to paint murals. Karakaya told Anadolu that they organize activities to keep children's morale and motivation high, adding that they work with 50 children every day. They were working on visuals that would enable children to open the door to a new world in their imaginations rather than the trauma of this earthquake, he added. Over 50,000 people have been killed and millions displaced after strong earthquakes hit Turkey and Syria on February 6th. Muslim police officers in New York have banded together to collect donations for the millions affected by the February 6 earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. Members of the New York Police Department's Muslim Officer Society and Middle East and Turkic Society together collected donations. The magnitude 7.7 and 7.6 quakes were centered in the Kahramanmaraş in Turkey and struck 10 other provinces. More than 13 million people have been affected by the devastating quakes, and the death toll is now more than 50,000. Fears of a tsunami are rising in the Middle East after the Mediterranean Sea began receding after the devastating February 6 earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. Social media users have shared how new rocks have been exposed on beaches in Egypt's Sinai, Libya, Algeria, and Palestine, and the Gaza Strip. As well, tidal waters have moved 5 to 20 meters. This is sparking fears that a tsunami is about to strike. But experts disagree. Dr. Ziad Abuhin is a seismologist and the official in charge of the Department of Disasters and Crises at the Islamic University in Gaza. He told the Middle East Monitor yesterday that tsunamis in the region are highly unlikely. Abuhin noted that since the earthquakes took place several weeks ago and it has now been more than 24 hours since the subsequent large tremor, fears of a tsunami are unfounded. He also explained that what is happening along the shore is a natural phenomenon, but added that people's fears have been heightened following the earthquakes. At least 59 migrants have died after their boats sank off the coast of Italy's southern Calabria region, authorities said on Sunday. Some 80 migrants survived the shipwreck, according to the Italian Coast Guard. But authorities fear the death toll could climb as the boat was carrying some 200 people. The vessel, which had migrants from Iran, Pakistan, and Afghanistan, crashed against rocks in rough seas, according to Italian news reports. The tragedy comes just days after the far-right government led by Premier Giorgia Meloni pushed through Parliament a controversial new law on rescuing migrants. It forces migrant aid vessels to make just one rescue attempt at a time. Critics say this increases the risk of more drownings in the central Mediterranean, the most dangerous crossing in the world for people seeking asylum in Europe. Meloni, leader of an anti-migrant Brothers of Italy party, won last September's national elections, promising to stop the flow of migrants reaching Italian shores. The EU Disinfolab has revealed that an Indian news agency has repeatedly quoted non-existent sources. This was unveiled in its latest investigation into anti-Pakistan China influence operations. It looked into a number of non-existent organizations, bloggers, and journalists who are regularly quoted by Asian News International. That is an Indian news agency that provides content for many media outlets across India. Its articles are also published on well-known digital portals such as Yahoo News. Two previous EU Disinfolab investigations found that ANI regularly quoted two fake media outlets that claimed to specialize in EU affairs but were created to push anti-Pakistan China narratives in India. EU Disinfolab is an independent NGO that researches and tackles sophisticated disinformation campaigns targeting the European Union, its member states, core institutions, and the body's core values. Two Muslim men, Junaid and Nasser, were burnt alive by cow vigilantes in the state of Haryana, India. These cow vigilante groups are associated with the Hindutva outfits Bajrang Dal and the RSS. For details, let's watch this special report.
Two men, Junaid and Nasser, economically struggling but hardworking, dignified, and devoted to their families. A struggle they faced, far worse than their poverty, was living as Muslims in today's precarious India. February 15th, 2023, both men were murdered, burnt alive in the Indian state of Haryana. The initial police report for the incident accused Monu Manisar, a leader of the Bajrang Dal. What is Bajrang Dal and who is Monu Manisar? Bajrang Dal means the army of Hanuman, a Hindu deity. The Bajrang Dal are an armed militia affiliated with India's Hindu nationalist paramilitary organization, RSS. Bajrang Dal has a history of carrying out violent attacks against Muslims, including the destroying of mosques. Its members have been involved in the making of bombs and the distribution of weapons used in such attacks. Monu Manisar is a leader of this militant Hindu organization. In Haryana, India, he is also part of the local government's official Special Cow Protection Task Force, Cow Vigilantes. Monu and his militant vigilantes chase truck drivers in the night, attack them, then proudly post photographs and videos of their violence on social media. Monu and his fellow vigilantes shamelessly flaunt their weapons and guns in their videos. Truck drivers they target and accuse of smuggling cows are assaulted violently. For Muslims like Junaid and Nasser, the violence is fatal. Police cooperate with Monu on his illegal raids of innocent Muslims. 22-year-old Waris was the victim of one such attack, beaten up by Monu and his militia in January of 2023. Waris succumbed to his injuries, the police claiming he was killed in a car accident. Why is Monu Manasseh still free? Why has no action been taken against him? Perhaps the answers lie in how the country of India is currently running today. BJP government and RSS street power work together. Monu Manasseh operates with impunity as BJP grants him official position and police cooperation. Even when Manasseh's crimes are blatant and indisputable, the RSS street power comes in full force to protect him. Working closely with local police, Manasseh is considered to be a part of civil defense teams, his militia members also working as police informants. He is often seen with top police officials and BJP politicians by his side. These connections result in other Hindu citizens treating him with the utmost of respect, rallying for his support and threatening police who dare interfere with his actions. Such intimidation has worked. Though primary accusations have pointed toward Monu Manasseh time and again, new police posters related to crimes and the search for culprits do not even include Manasseh's name or photograph. Monu has thousands of followers on YouTube and Facebook. He repetitively posts about his violent actions on social media to gain even more popularity. And yet, these social media companies do not suspend his accounts, nor does the Indian government take any action against him.
That's all from our Toronto studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can find previous episodes and more on our YouTube or Facebook. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.